Okay, let's get started. Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. It's great to see so many of you here, and we really appreciate you taking your busy time to set aside some time to join us. I'm Tim Dobson, VP of Alliances here at Accounting Seed, and I'll be your host today. This discussion is brought to you by both Accounting Seed and Aprica. You might know them better by the name of their PSA application, Mission Control. Just a little bit about us. Accounting Seed is the #1 Salesforce-native accounting application. We were founded in 2011, and we help over 60,000 users in more than 30 countries streamline financial operations. Mission Control is also a Salesforce-native application, a project management solution, equipping businesses with all of the tools needed to plan, track, and deliver projects efficiently from start to finish. Before we dive in, just a couple of quick housekeeping items. Today's session is being recorded, so we'll send you a link afterwards that you can revisit or share with other members of your team. We'll wrap up with the Q&A, so feel free to submit your questions in the chat box at any time. Don't be shy. We love your questions, and we'll get to answering all or as many of those as possible. Let's jump right in. So, as a Salesforce SI, we know that you're juggling selling, project delivery, resource allocation, tracking time, billing, and measuring profitability, often in disconnected tools. And from our discussions with you folks, we know that you're helping your clients optimize their business with Salesforce, but don't always fully utilize Salesforce in your own operation. And what we want to show you is what things look like if your entire business, from sales, project management, and accounting, all live natively on Salesforce. And that's what Mission Control and Accounting Seed deliver, and what we'll be showing you here today. Not only can you benefit from using Mission Control and Accounting Seed in your own business, but as a partner, you can help your customers expand the use of Salesforce in their business, and we would love to help you do that as well. Before we get going, I want to introduce you to my co-host and friend, Corey Kleinbauer, who's the CRO over at Mission Control. He's been working with Mission Control and seen firsthand how Mission Control can transform the way organizations deliver their services. Corey, why don't you do a little intro and tell us a little bit about yourself and your work with Aprica.
Sure. Thanks, Tim. Hey, everybody. It's good to be here today. And as Tim said, I lead revenue and alliances for Mission Control. And it's a natively built solution, as you probably know, for project management and project services administration, so PSA. Mission Control, I'm going to call it that from here on out, has been on the App Exchange for over 15 years. We have tens of thousands of users across 22 countries. So where do we play and why should you care? Services administration, project management is not just for professional services. That makes up a good portion of our customer base, but we operate in construction, engineering, financial services, healthcare, pharma, and of course, software. And, when you think about PSA, where can it be used? So it can be used, of course, for managing projects and everything you're going to see today, but also for customer onboarding, product development, sales acquisition, help desk support functions, and tracking tickets. So really, it's a very broad solution, and Mission Control itself is a very broad solution compared to our kind of contemporaries or competitors. So why should you care about this relationship, and how should you look at it? So Mission Control has a high degree of interaction with Salesforce sales teams and SIs. And I've been in the ecosystem for a number of years, and it really struck me here as to the appeal of our solution to that community, those communities. And I think it's because, I think we looked at it as kind of the project cloud or project management cloud, and it fits a critical gap for our prospects or for our partners. We help win a lot of new logos for Salesforce. One of my favorite outcomes of the sales cycle one of my favorite engagements to be in is when we're co-selling a new logo, because we really truly are filling that execution gap. But I also think it's because we're easy to work with. The sales team here is very unique. Our AEs do their demos. They can scope our projects. They can recommend an implementation package and can walk you through the pricing, which is highly transparent. And as a partner, they're all well versed in how our partner enablement works and can direct you to our deep amount of resources to become certified or just become a partner of Mission Control. So today you're going to hear from one of those product experts, one of those sales folks that you would be working directly with. Right? So his name is Julian Riccardi, and I'm excited to not only work with him, but have him talk about our kind of product and how we sell and how we engage with customers and what our product actually does. So what you'll see is a deep set of agentic and automated workflows that help drive excellence in delivery. Okay. You'll see a comprehensive, well, I'll say, call it a flyover of our comprehensive solution used in both SMB and enterprise market segments. And you'll see a compelling view of what's possible when PSA is tied to a native accounting solution, because you'll see both today. Think about the transparency that's being offered. Think about the power of the platform is really highlighted when you think about Mission Control and Accounting Seed together. It's a delight for a CFO and for a lot of our personas, because we're driving transparency from the very beginning, from proposal to invoice. So please consider those things as you watch today. We're happy to answer as many questions as you want about onboarding and partner infrastructure and what we offer. So if you don't want to ask questions today, our contact information is easily found, and you can reach out to us, and we can help you transform your business and add to your growth in 2026 with our partnership. So back to Tim.
Well said. Thanks, Corey. Yeah, so let me introduce you to two experts who will be running demos today. First, as Corey mentioned, Julian Riccardi, an account executive over at Mission Control. Julian knows the platform inside and out and has helped countless organizations get their project management under control. And then from our side, Ben Robinson, a solution engineer here at Accounting Seed. Ben is going to show you how native accounting on Salesforce really changes everything for consultants as well as finance and leadership teams. Let's jump right into it. Julian, you want to take us away?
There we go. Just taking off my mic and sharing my camera. Well, thank you for having me today. Excited to kind of give everyone this walkthrough of Mission Control, and specifically kind of even that handshake Mission Control and native PSA has with Accounting Seed, which is all on your source of truth, which is Salesforce. Like everyone said, look, I do work with a lot. I do this a lot, and I do work with a lot of SIs and consulting firms that are looking to kind of say practice what they preach and bring everything onto the platform and really have operations from essentially lead to cash, all within Salesforce. So what I'll be doing is kind of say going through a little bit of a journey today, launching a project from an opportunity. And then going through a lot of our tools, features, functionality, and kind of say wrapping up with kind of say where that touch point between Mission Control and Accounting Seed happens. So first and foremost, this is Mission Control. It might look like Salesforce because it's one of the same. There's no separation between Mission Control and Salesforce, as we are a series of custom objects that live in your Salesforce environment. You'll never need to sign into Mission Control. By signing into Salesforce, you have access to all of our objects and features. So where I'll be starting my journey today is at an opportunity. This is a standard Salesforce opportunity, nothing really special in terms of it on our side, other than you can see projects as a related record on the right-hand side. So how do we go from opportunities to projects? There's a few ways around this. A way that I often see is if we do leverage, let's say, CPQ products or Salesforce products, which are essentially SKUs, what we are able to do is match Mission Control projects to those Salesforce products. So think about it, if you're adding, let's say, like 4 CPQ products or 4 SKUs or 4 products to an opportunity, you could add 4 project templates to those products. So think of it, you could almost like build a modular project out of the box while you're kind of say adding products to an opportunity. Or you might tell me, hey, Julian, I'd much rather have those 4 products be 4 separate projects. Totally fine as well. There's multiple ways for us to go from opportunity to project. Even for today, I'm going to try to keep it as simple as possible. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and grab a project template, have my start date be today, generation method. We have a slew of generation methods. I could spend hours just talking about this, but we don't have that time today. And I'm going to generate the project based on opportunity status change. So what's going to be the catalyst here? What's going to be the driver? What's going to be that starting point for project creation is an opportunity status change. It doesn't necessarily need to be closed won. Typically is, but this environment it is as well. But let's say if you do want to generate your project earlier on, let's say at the price quote phase, and you're looking to kind of have that collateral for yourself, so you could, let's say, close the deal or leverage a Gantt chart for those final steps, or even start soft booking resources. This is something we definitely would suggest, but just in terms of today's conversation, it is at the close one phase. So by moving this to close and winning the deal, you'll see that I don't have any projects that are live over here, and a project has now been spun. So even in terms of these projects themselves, they could be as granular and detailed as you need them to be, or as high level as bucket-like, or even let's say they could be waterfall, agile, or even hybrids. Like it's not one or the other. These templates are essentially any project you develop or create in Mission Control. If you just go into, which are super easy to do, if you go into the edit field and you click the little beautiful template box, the project gets allowed to be put into the template bank. So it's a very iterative process. So if you are always, let's say, leveraging the same template over and over and over, then one day you go off the beaten path and you deliver a more efficient project. What you are able to do is, let's say, have that newer project that you delivered, go into the edit field, turn that into a template, and then have that be your source of truth moving forward. So with that being said, let's jump into the fun of it here, and let's go into our actual project. So this is the project that I spun from our opportunity. You can see that there's some bits of information that I will jump into. But I actually do have a existing project in the system with a little bit more data to it that could be a little bit more fun for us to walk through. Now, jumping into our project over here, let me speak to the hierarchy that we allow for in Mission Control. We have a 7-layer project structure that we allow for. The highest level is 2 levels above a project, which is portfolio management. Below a portfolio, we can have a program. Below a program, we allow for projects like you can see over here. So it's basically a one-to-many relationship. Many projects can be related to a program. Many programs can be related to a portfolio. So under a project, you are able to have phases, which we didn't create one over here because there was no need. Under a milestone, under a phase, you could have a milestone. Under a milestone, you could have actions, and under actions, you could even have checklist items. Now, you don't need to use every one of these layers, but they are there for you to use if you'd like to use them. You can also see there is a bunch of data, a bunch of information that has been brought into this project, like scheduled hours, placeholder resources who are non-human resources or assets that basically allow us to help forecast into the future, but are not necessarily named users yet. I'll be able to shift those over to one of our many processes we have in Mission Control, and how we're able to switch those into named users with insight from, let's say, capacity, what team they're part of, all that fun stuff. And lastly, before I kind of start showing you into other little assets part of our suite, in terms of the actual project structure, how do we build the project? How do we make money, essentially? Why are we all here? So the thing is, we allow for multiple billing types. I've been in Mission Control for around 2 years now. I've yet to come across a billing type that we were not able to manage or required any level of custom configuration. So in terms of billing types, we allow for fixed price expenses, time and material, controlled on milestones, deposit to T&M, and retainer to T&M. In terms of even how we bill or cost these, you could do standard-based billing, role-based billing, skill-based, and rate card. And even the same, you could even do hybrid-based billing rates and cost rates, where we have rate cards and the others that I just mentioned. So in terms of how we go from, let's say, from project to billing, I'll be jumping into that in a little bit, and that's where I'll kind of be handing it over to Ben. But in terms of our project over here, I spoke into our structure. We kind of understand our work breakdown, but there are multiple ways for us to actually interact with this project or consume the data from this project, which is why we have these tabs over here. So if you tell me you want to have a little bit better understanding of a timeline view, where you're looking at our project and you want to understand critical path, dependencies, and even kind of a general timeline, we highly suggest jumping into a Gantt chart to be able to consume that information. So to speak to the hierarchy that I spoke to earlier, let's jump a little higher up over here. We have our project. Under our project, we could have phases, we could have milestones, we could have actions as well. Now, going a little bit closer into this, into our actual Gantt chart, you can see that I have a series of baselines and I have a slew of dependencies. To build these dependencies, it's literally just dragging and dropping between actions. You could build leads or lags directly within them by double clicking into it. If you tell me you prefer to use PNP language, you have a predecessor chart, whatever's easier for you. And what these do is, let's say if you see this reverse demo number 2, if this gets pushed out from the 23rd to the 26th, everything will get pushed out in accordance because it maintains the dependencies and maintains that critical path. Something else that we also allow for are constraints. So let's say if a project should or piece of the project should start no later than, finish no earlier than, so on and so forth. This is a great way to consume that information. Along with our Gantt chart over here, everything could be exported PNG, CSV, PDF. Along with the actual Gantt chart, we also have a Kanban board. So let's say different ways to interact with the project or consume this information. So like better understanding who's working on what. If I want to look at what are the priority actions, if I want to change the actual priority of an action, I could go look at settings all directly from within the whiteboard here. So now both the Gantt chart and the whiteboard, we're looking at it within the project level right now. What we are able to do is actually take a step back and look at it from both global levels as well. So we do have a global Gantt chart and we have a global whiteboard. So if I want to see all my projects and look at all the dependencies, or even look at what are the priority actions of different different projects, let's say, of people who work on my, let's say, developer team or whatever you need, you're able to slice and dice this information as required. Now, going a little bit further into the project, we also have a risk log. So the language we use here are risks are things that can happen. Issues are things that are happening. So let's go look into one of these risks. I have a delay number 1 over here, part of this project. You can see that there's I've qualified the risk as well. So jumping into my risk log, you see the risk owner, who is myself. I can even identify the day the risk occurred. I can associate it to a specific action and a milestone. I could provide that assessment that I showed you earlier, along with some countermeasures. Now, worst case scenario, if let's say the risk does become an issue and everything, let's say, hits the fan, what we are able to do is push this, promote the risk to an issue. So essentially move the risk from a risk log to an issue log. So something that I kind of repeat over and over and over is that the risks can be, everything here can be reported on. So there is an interesting report that I've come across a while ago, was that I saw an SI do this. There was basically on the executive's dashboard, a report of every live issue, who the issue owner was, how many days this issue has been alive for, what project is this issue on, and also a free text field of what are some next steps. So being able to kind of have that, kind of even cherry pick information and consume it as you need is kind of core to what we do over here at Mission Control. Now, along with, let's say, how we're able to consume this information, we also have actions as well. We have our action pad where, let's say, as an individual contributor, you might want to understand where you are in a project above and beyond, let's say, the actual project itself. Then even being able to kind of, let's say, see chronological order of actions, and really kind of consume this information as needed. So now, kind of nearing the end of, let's say, the project features and functionalities. We also have our insights tab where we're able to consume information of understanding, let's say, where we're at in a project, if we're on time, and if we're on budget with the CPI and SPI indexes. We're able to have a burn down of our hours, along with some very important billable hour and expense information, all at the bottom. Now going back into my project, I showed you a little bit earlier. What we have over here is that we have some placeholder resources. So right now, these are not named users. At the moment, right now, these are simply assets. But we might want to see, how do we turn this asset? Let's say the project manager who's gonna run this reverse demo. How do we put them on the project? So we do have a few different ways of staffing. It's not one or the other. You could choose what you want to do, and it's more so a spectrum of how automated you want it to be. We have a fully automated flow. We have an auto assignment wizard where you're able to get a percentage match fit of who might be the best fit for each one of these actions based on skills, teams, capacity, proficiency levels, all that fun stuff, and then basically fully automated. This could happen at the opportunity. How I created the project earlier, it could be all automated from exactly that touch point. But something else we could do is also do if you're looking for a standard resource request flow where you want to have a backlog of resource requests, totally fine. We have that flow as well. Or if you're looking to have a little bit more control of this, and you want to better understand, kind of, let's say, filter on your own terms, something we have is called the resource assignment wizard. So what you're able to do is, let's say, I know for this action I need to place a project manager and a junior consultant and a regular consultant. What I could do is I could choose what teams I'd like to look into, but I'm actually going to say, hey, look, I want to go look into my team of consultants. I could even further qualify based on skill. And from here, I'd be able to identify who might be the best fit for the role. Typically, you'd see how many hours these people have been assigned to. Let's say for these individual weeks, you could change the date range over here. You could also just drag and drop individuals onto these actions, where basically that person will take over those actions, and then basically by saving this, it gets pushed to their calendar. Now you might ask me, so now that's the Colin, Chris, because actually those are two actually. Colin's our actual CEO and Chris is our CTO. They're actual founders of the company. They basically, let's say they've been assigned to the project. How do they log time? So from basically, there are multiple ways for us to log time in mission control. Some ways are a little bit more eloquent than others. Other ways are probably going to be used more. Let's say if you see over here, anywhere in mission control, you have these hour faces. If it's in the overview, if it's in the whiteboard, even if it's in this action pad that I showed you over here, any place you see these, you could click on this and you have the ability to qualify a time log. You could force notes on a time log. And also you could even say, you can use like a stopwatch functionality. You could say, hey, start tracking time, and you finish it when you're done. Or just say, hey, I worked 4 hours on this. Along with that, we also have this global action button that follows you throughout Salesforce. So no matter where you are in Salesforce, you're able to log time. Just the same functionality I showed you earlier. As much as we love these cool and innovative ways to log time, where everyone's going to log their time is on a timesheet. So what happens here is that basically all the hours that have been assigned to you will get pushed into the timesheet over here. You'll see your hours that are kind of grayed in. And basically, if you're working on 4 projects in a week, you'll see 4 separate projects that populate over here. Your hours already grayed in, and you just log your time directly from here. There's no need to go find your time log, find your project, or whatever it is. It's all directly here. So by just saying, like, if I say on this Wednesday, I worked 4 hours, we force our notes in our environment. We don't need to work on X, Y, Z for 4 hours, save it. Then basically that gets pushed to your time log. We also have a calendar converter, so you're able to actually push in, let's say, events on a Microsoft or Google Calendar directly into your timesheet. That would require a bridge, like let's say using Breadwinner or something, but we already have the interface and infrastructure to leverage it. And now going back into my project. So in terms of what I mentioned earlier, going to that billing element, how do we make money? So in terms of this project over here, what we have are we have a billable milestone. Let's say if you were doing, let's say, retainer, if you go into the edit field, you could say, hey, create a new retainer. Let's say on whatever cadence or whatever start date you're looking for, and whenever there's that trigger that says, hey, we need a new billing event, it gets pushed to our billing tab over here. So in this project, what we have is a billable milestone. Ben Robinson is the actual owner of this milestone. So when basically he gets notice that, hey, we got the signature, basically he completes this milestone, goes into the milestone button, clicks it, plus complete, super easy. Then basically the milestone budget is complete. Then by going into our billing event tab over here, this is where that handoff or that handshake happens between mission control and accounting seed. So this is where I will personally stop sharing my screen. I am going to also hand the mic over to Ben.
So thank you, Julian. That was awesome. So, okay, so now we've seen how Mission Control manages the project and gets, time entry, gets everything ready to bill. Ben's going to show us what happens on the finance side. Ben, want to take over that screen?
Yep. Can you guys see my screen?
Yep. Perfect.
Awesome. Thanks, Tim. Hey, everyone. How's it going? Again, my name is Ben Robinson. I'm an SC with Accounting Seed. As you can see, this is the screen that Julian left off on. So this is the same exact billing event that was created on that signature milestone. So a few things here is this billing event is really the project side of things where it's tracking an actual billable event related to a milestone and an overall project. This project, again, can then be related back to an opportunity and an account. So there's interconnectivity here from the mission control end all the way through the Salesforce platform. That being said, this next step here is really where we're pushing into accounting processes. So this billing event being recognized to a project ultimately needs to then be pushed into accounting seed. And so here is the ability to ultimately create a new accounting seed billing, reflect that as a related item to this billing event, in addition to any cash that has been received. So prior to a billing event being sent off, you can have approval processes as part of this. So, if before this ultimately gets sent over to accounting seed, there can be an initial approval process here. There can also be one at the actual accounting seed billing before posting that to the general ledger. And so generally, all of those details in the billing event, once creating that accounting seed record, will automatically flow into this billing record, populate it with details like accounting periods, billing dates, billing lines reflecting the quantity and unit price, if it's hours or an overall percent of completion that we're having to bill. So this billing record on the accounting seed end, again, all of the details of this billing record will be kept here in the details section. And you can also see that there are ties back to all three, both the billing event, the milestone, and the overall project. What this means is that we are now creating a bridge between the actual project and the actual invoice being sent out to the customer. And so in this instance, I could click back into the billing event, the milestone, the project. Additionally, that detail gets carried over into billing lines where we can track the milestones this way, in addition to variables like department, region, product line. And so at this point, this is where the accounting team can have, again, another approval process prior to posting this to the general ledger. There can be, a PDF that's sent out as well. So you click that create PDF button. There's a few details here. So there's the overall sent to the account, the Salesforce account that anyone in Salesforce already has this account. So that customer account where the invoice is being sent to, an automated email template with the invoice number and the amount outstanding, in addition to the overall PDF that gets sent. So this is something that can be, changed. The layouts of these PDFs can have your logo. You can change the way that the overall line structure is reflecting. Again, you can see there's subtotals, sales tax, overall totals, and amounts that have already been paid on this record. So this can be saved and sent. And at this point, any receiving of cash over this billing will automatically create what we call a cash receipt and accounting seed. The cash receipt, again, is going to be tied back to the accounting seed billing. Any details of the cash itself and what it's reflecting, the payment processing for it, if it was credit card or ACH or just a check. Additionally, in the additional field section, a ton of different descriptions like bank accounts, credit cards, different variables for this, any banking information as well. Ultimately, similarly to the overall billing, this billing will then be tied back to, the billing event itself. The billing event will have the accounting records related to it. This billing event tied back to the milestone. So you can see the accounting seed billing and cash receipt records here as well to the milestone level, in addition to the overall project. So there's full connectivity from the beginning of that project and that life cycle all the way down to one individual billing event. That being said, you can organize how you want to track this. If you don't want to show all of your accounting records here at the project, you can show that at the milestone. Again, these projects relate back to opportunities. So being able to track the project lifecycle in addition to related items like a billing record directly to the opportunity is really putting your sales team, the project management team, and the accounting team all in the same playing field. So that's really a huge benefit to anyone on Salesforce. Additionally, any expenses being tracked either to a project, not related to a project, are being reflected on a payable record. And the payable record, again, can have payable lines that are reflecting individual expenses for all various different costs. In addition to tracking variables, you can track the projects here to a payable record itself. There's also a few features as part of our AP automation called email to payable, which is really an email that gets sent in from a vendor can automatically create this payable record. And then in addition to that, invoice automation of actually scanning the PDF here and filling out the details on this payable record. A few things that could include are purchase orders. It can include a project. It include an opportunity, all of the payable line or invoice lines as well, in addition to general notes, comments, any other attachments, and all of that detail. As you can see, there's transactions, there's approval history, and then overall audit trail. And then similar to that billing, anytime a payment is actually applied to the payable, the cash disbursement will automatically create to reflect the cash of this. And that this will then be tied back to the project as a whole. We can track it back to an opportunity if it's related to the overall opportunity. But again, all of that again is blending into the project life cycle. So tracking billable versus overhead as part of that. So something great there. Again, the reportability on this is leveraging Salesforce reports and dashboards. Accounting Seed loves this dashboard, ultimately reflecting outstanding balances both on your receivables and payable ends. So being able to track your overall AR balance, the number of accounts this is related to, a nice aging balance of how outstanding these invoices are. Being able to click into the overall graph here to reflect the one individual invoice related to that customer. On these reports, we can reflect everything from the project, the milestone, the billing event, the balance due, and whether the email was ever sent. So again, interconnectivity there. And then from there, there's reporting on, profitability or relating transactions to projects to show how profitable was one individual project. Again, graph and displaying that on dashboards is great, but ultimately reflecting the project, all of the transactions, multi-entity ledger capability, in addition to multi-currency, reflecting that to an individual account, a GL account, an accounting period, and then again, all of these records of billing, a billing line, cash disbursement. We then can relate those back to those projects like we've mentioned in milestones so that we can run, profitability reporting on active projects, employee capacity, of course, but then if I scroll down a little bit, being able to see, which individual projects are performing the highest profit margin over those projects, comparing those against budgets as well. So a nice budgets versus actuals there on the project end. So great reporting there in both the Salesforce reports and how that reflects in the widgets on a dashboard. And then lastly, the last thing I'll be talking to today is really this financial reporting hub, which is a newer release for Accounting Seed in a pivot table oriented fashion. Here's a profit and loss. The ability here is ultimately the flexibility in tracking all of your GL accounts, again, by their subtypes, but then, being able to organize this data based on accounting period, based on year, based on month is typical. But what Accounting Seed has done is we've given you the ability to expand on what you can report on with all of the different details that are on these records, like a GL variable or a project, even a product. You can even run an account. So if I throw in a variable here into our column level, you can see that now our revenue and expense and net profit is ultimately organized by our regions. So Central versus Midwest, which is great. And I can expand on this, of course, by showing all of the individual GL accounts and their individual regions as well. I can even take this variable and push this into row level formatting. This is going to allow us to ultimately show each individual GL account and that activity for each period based on those regions in a row level. So great flexibility there simply from a drag and drop. I also have the ability to run the filters on this report based on accounting period. So I can show year over year comparisons by just selecting a full year and then ultimately comparing that against another year. I can then organize that by, instead of accounting period, I can throw an accounting year and show 2026 to 2025. So flexibility there. I also have the ability to filter on ledger. This is a great opportunity to run actuals versus budgets as a comparison P&L. I can organize by our regions if I want to show just one region's worth of data, in addition to organizing by project. So throwing your projects in here in addition to your customer accounts and running account versus account. So tons of flexibility here. Again, this flexibility relates not just to a P&L, but ultimately to a balance sheet, cash flow, general ledger, and all of that detail. So just to summarize a little bit of what we talked about, from the mission control end, again, everything really starting from the opportunity lifecycle. Julian walked through how to create projects based on templates. So the ability to then create a brand new project to an opportunity from the project, track through milestones, be able to report on that through a whiteboard or a Gantt chart. And then from there, all of the accounting records, like a billing or a cash receipt, get tied back to a billing event. And this can occur in a milestone. But really, at the end of the day, it's just whole interconnectivity, giving you real-time insight from front to end or lead to ledger. So Tim, I'm going to toss it back to you. Wrap this up.
Awesome, Ben. Thank you. I love that Reports Hub demo. It's great stuff. And Julian, yeah, thank you both. So I wanted to wrap up just by talking about why the partnership with Accounting Seed and Mission Control is so powerful. As you've seen, it's not just two apps, it's two native Salesforce purpose-built solutions, that work really well together, and the impact is real, right? So consultants will spend less time on admin. As you saw, time entry is really simple, so they can focus on delivering great work for clients. Finance teams will stop being a bottleneck. Time flows directly into invoicing, which it speeds up billing cycles and really improves cash flow, which is key, right? That's massive. And leadership teams gain real-time visibility into project health, utilization, and most importantly, profitability. So decisions are based on real-time data, not just gut feel. So when you eliminate the duplicate entry and the disconnected systems, really get more time back. And in a service business, as we know, and I'll say, time is money, right? So let's jump in. I know we've got some questions. We saw some come in. Let me pull some of these here. Okay, so Corey, this is probably a good one for you or Julian, and then we can also fill in from our side. Does Aprica Mission Control, do you have a certification program for partners? Yes, we absolutely do. Really, it's quite something. I've been, like I said earlier, in the ecosystem for a while, and the certification program is very strong here, self-guided, but very rich and deep. And there's a couple levels of certification you can attain
And that would, just to summarize, that would be: are you going to be a user and position the product, or are you going to be an implementer? And so you can come to our site, aprica.com, and register to be a partner, gain access to the system, and begin your transformation with mission control. Another thing to think about, though, in the path to becoming an expert, and I've seen this work quite well at both Accounting Seed and here, is to actually use the product to run your business. We make it very attractive financially for partners to purchase mission control with some very steep discounting. So that really the best way to talk about a product to a customer is to say, actually, we use it. We use it in our organization. Julian, anything to quickly add to that, or did that?
Oh, no, and even in terms of our we have our own learning portal for end users, and we also have a very in-depth portal for partners, sharing our data model, implementation plans, really kind of giving you everything that we have internally to help you be successful and help your clients be successful as well, if that's ever the case.
Yeah, awesome. And then I'll just add from the Accounting Seed side, that may have come from an Accounting Seed partner, but we also have a program as well. We have an awesome partnership program. All of our delivery is done through partners. So we have great partners and would love to talk to you about that, and absolutely have a certification program and learning program and process. Okay, so next question here. Also for Mission Control, about competitors. Can you talk a little bit about competition, Julian or Corey?
Yeah, no, I'm more than happy to take this one. We are on platform. Typically, who we do, let's say, see ourselves coming against, or let's say the Certenias, but we really hold a different market share. If you're dealing with, let's say, 10,000 seats and above, Certenia they own the market share. They have the infrastructure. We're not trying to compete there. Are we a very similar project? Are we as powerful? Definitely. But in terms of, let's say, where we actually sit in the market, between, let's say, 10 to 1,000 users, professional service teams, really kind of looking to kind of be on platform, and kind of, let's say, breaking away from the smart sheets, breaking away from your Excel documents, and really kind of when you hit a ceiling at a certain point where, let's say, your current way of doing it, or even like your Monday.com, it's not going to help you plan your resources, have your billing events, and really kind of log time that going towards that fully scalable business. That's really the market share that we kind of own.
Okay, great. Yeah, that's a great answer. And from our side, I think, Ben, if you want to add to this, but Certenia certainly, especially when we partner, with Mission Control, is in the competitive landscape, as well as Sage, NetSuite. A lot of our customers are outgrowing QuickBooks, or struggling with tools like DB Sync, trying to integrate, especially when it comes to Salesforce, looking at running natively and taking advantages of the massive Salesforce investment in product, and the ability to add tons of efficiency and all the benefits gained from being on platform. So, and would be happy to talk to you about all that in more detail if you want some more info on it. Ben, probably a question for you. Question about the integration and speeding up the accounting process. How does integration speed up your accounting process or processes? Do you want to talk to that? Just connection between products?
Yeah, absolutely. So really the real-time data, I was talking through the demo on this, but real-time visibility from front to end. That's just a really nice thing to have is visibility on both sides of the playing field. But where it really streamlines is there's relationships between the accounting seed, what we call objects, but those records like a billing record and a cash receipt, reflecting back to a project like a mission control project into a milestone. We have the ability, all of that being in the same family, sharing the same DNA in Salesforce. That allows us to then create automations of those records from one place to another, where one individual can say, check mark on this project, we're ready to bill on this milestone. Automatically creates a billing record, notifies an accounting team member to then go and take action on that. that's a huge, huge uplift for a lot of teams who are having to manually create that, or even on QuickBooks or a separate platform to have to like go into a separate platform, click new, fill in the project name, the account name, and go from there. That's saving tons of times, hours. And so there's tons of flexibility there. Really also just leveraging enterprise grade level platform on Salesforce is going to allow us to do more than that with agents, leveraging AI and all of it as well.
Yeah, that's great. And the last question actually is sort of in line with that. It's for firms that have both billable project work and I guess non-billable. We're talking about internal overhead. How do you handle the distinction across both systems? So I think that's getting to a time entry, billable versus non-billable, and associated costs also to those projects and how that flows into accounting. Do you want to touch on that as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's intellectual software, being able to pull from a project what's billable, percent of completion, how much the actual total that needs to be reflected on that invoice. All of that detail that's set on the project and what needs to be billed is what we pull from an accounting seed, reflect that in billing lines, reflect that in the details in the different fields to make sure that the accounting team knows exactly what's happening here. Is this overhead? Is this general expense related to the project? Is it billable based on time? If so, is there an employee we need to track this to? All of that detail on the project level gets pulled in. Again, another pointing at the relationship of these objects in Salesforce, leveraging that automation. So yeah, great call out.
It looks like one more that just came in was about client, whether that's a competitor as well in the space.
Yeah, there are a bunch of other, I guess, PSAs within the space. I hear about their name every so often. Yeah, no, we hear about them, but they're not much. We don't really compete much against them.
Okay. Okay, great. So that's it for questions. Again, if you have any more, keep them coming. If we can't get to them today, we'll get back to you on it. I know we've covered a lot today, so I'm going to put a poll up here on the screen. And if what you saw today resonates with you, then we'd love to continue the conversation and to keep it going. If you're looking to grow your business and would like to talk to us about a partnership and bringing both Mission Control and Accounting Seed to your customers, let's connect. Both Accounting Seed, as Corey mentioned, and Mission Control offer special pricing for SIs, and we'd be happy to have that discussion and tell you more about that as well. Big thanks, Julian, Ben, Corey, for walking us through everything today. You were fantastic, great demos. And thanks to all of you for joining us. Like I said at the beginning, we'll send out the recording, so please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions, and feel free to share that with the rest of your team. I see the responses coming in here, so we'll just give it another second or two. Take maybe one more question. Okay, good. So we'll go ahead and close that poll. Again, thanks to everybody for participating. And until next time, please take care and have a great rest of the week.
Bye, everyone. Cheers.
Thanks all. Bye.